Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Yunus, and I'm the CEO here at vFairs. I'm excited about today's webcast as we talk about best practices for successful university virtual job fairs. And since we'll be talking about universities, we wanted to make sure we got opinions from experts with experience of hosting these university virtual job fairs. That's why we invited two industry experts, each with years of experience of hosting these university virtual job fairs. I would like to warmly welcome Francine Bloom, who is Assistant Vice President, Career Development and Student Affairs at the University of Maryland Global Campus. Hi, Francine. Welcome to the webcast.
Oh, thanks so much, Jonas. It's an honor to be here.
I would also like to warmly welcome Suni Samuel, who is a Career Services Coordinator at the Toronto School of Management. Hi, Suni.
Hello. Happy to be here.
Thank you both for taking the time to speak to me today. Our discussion today will be a fireside chat so that we can get as much output from these two amazing folks. So all right, ladies, let's dive right into the first question. Francine, I would like to kind of start with you. Again, you have been in the education industry for such a long time. If you can just guide us, what are some of the goals in KPIs that someone in the career services department is responsible for?
Well, it's very interesting in that we are not necessarily primarily looking to connect people with jobs. Our primary focus is identifying students and alumni who are looking for jobs so that we can get the proper content to them. We have 93,000 students and 254,000 alumni, and I have 3 career advisors. So there's no way that we're going to connect with each of them individually, nor do they all need to be connected with individually. Some know perfectly well how to find a job. Others are very good at resumes, but might need a little help with their interview skills. So we want to identify the people who need us most, get the content to them that is applicable to them so that they can learn, because you learn what is relevant and meaningful. If you're not looking for a job right now, this is just going to wash away with all the other priorities in life. So our primary goal, identify who's looking for a position. Secondary goal is to connect with employers.
Thanks, Francine. That's very helpful. Suni, how do you resonate with some of those KPIs and goals at University of Toronto?
Well, with Toronto School of Management and Niagara College, Toronto, we get a vast pool. Almost 90% of our students are international from different parts of the world, and integrating them into the local job market, they have a very big difference, and there's a big gap in how they, go about their resumes and presenting themselves because of the cultural differences as well. So our department is very hands-on when it comes to acquainting them with the local standardized practices, and also that way they know how to approach employers and what will work properly. And something as simple as don't have a picture on your resume might be something that we just understand in this job market, but a student from Hungary, that's just how they do it there. So our diversity team, we're very big on that because we work with a global pool. So our KPIs involve not just placements, but also engagement. What is the difference as they came in and as they're graduating? What is their breadth of knowledge and how are we preparing them? All our programs have co-op, so we have that practical portion. So just placements with co-op, as well as, connecting them with those employers long-term, and also getting them acquainted with the local culture, the Canadian culture. So a lot of our KPIs involve just integration.
That's very helpful, Suni. Francine, I know that just before the pandemic, you used to do a lot of in-person job fairs, and even at that time, you used to do a lot of virtual job fairs. Tell me a bit more about how these job fairs help you achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve. Again, whether it is just engagement or whether it is just giving those tips and tricks, to those students on how they can stand out from this job market crowd.
Well, a lot of it involves work before either the in-person or the virtual career fair. So when someone registers for a recruiting event or career fair, we know they're looking for a job. We also have a platform where students self-identify if they're actively, passively, or not seeking at all. So we outreach to those who have attended events recently, recruiting events, and we outreach to those who indicate they're actively or passively seeking. And in the email inviting them to the event, we include links to our resources on how to do a good resume. We use several tools that they can perfect their resume with. We always have a prep webinars prior to our recruiting events where we're talking about best practices for resumes, for introducing yourself, and even for interviews. And because someone is looking for a job, they're going to remember these things. And we actually have statistics that show a good 2/3 of people who attend our recruiting events use the skills they learned prior to the recruiting events to go out and find their own job. So that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to scale our outreach to all of our students and alumni because alumni have access to career services in perpetuity. The majority of our students are either launching their first career or changing careers. When you put those two groups together, they outnumber the people who are advancing in their careers. So we also focus on those skills, talking about how do you speak to transferable skills, how do you speak to the experience you get in your classroom, whether that's speaking on a resume, in an elevator pitch, or in a regular interview.
Perfect. That's very helpful. Francine, Suni, it looks like that with these university job fairs, we have students, we have employers, and then we have the technology that helps connect both of them. So I think let's just start with each one of them one by one. For students, Suni, how do you market these job fairs, these virtual job fairs to students? Like, what are the places where you have seen the maximum amount of conversion? So if you can just walk us through that list of yours, that these are the methods that you typically use to market a particular virtual event to your students, that would be extremely helpful.
Yes, so we typically go two routes. We do the online marketing where, our social media is very on top of it, and our marketing team is fantastic, where we do videos, we do, because students in the social media age, a lot of our students are very online. So we try to reach them on there, whether it's through LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, funny videos, posters, things like that. And then we also do an internal promotion where, we have tri-weekly workshops a lot of times. And in our workshops where there's about 100, 200 students attending, we make sure to advertise it there. And also let them understand the value that is behind the job fair, where in this technological era, even if we have an in-person job fair, a lot of companies that are out of province, out of the country are not able to attend. So this gives them an access to an international pool of employers. So that's usually in this very competitive job market, it's a huge advantage for them. So not just advertising to say, hey, come to our job fair because we want to tick off a metric, is hey, this will actually help not just your life as a student towards co-op and graduation, but your life in general, because some of these networks that you create will be the stepping stone to your career goals. Networking, we know, is a huge thing, especially in the invisible job market. 80% of the jobs come from networking sometimes. So just educating students with that and moving them from the old model of job search to the new model of job search. So again, there is that one-on-one engagement that is internal, but there is also the external form of promotion, which is through social media and webinars and platforms and funny videos, anything that we can use to catch their attention, we apply it.
Thanks, Suni. And again, Suni, Francine, apologies, what I'll be doing constantly is that I'll be making a lot of notes because literally the way my job here works is that I get into a lot of calls with universities where they want this exhaustive list of, okay, what are the methods that you can guide us on, how can we promote it, right? So I'm just going to start and focus a bit more online that you just have mentioned, Suni, and just trying to see like if we have really kind of put down all the things that Suni has mentioned, and Francine, if you want to add some more. So we discussed LinkedIn. I understand that LinkedIn, a lot of universities, a lot of students would follow their universities on LinkedIn. So I think that works out really well. Again, social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, etc. Francine, are there any other online methods that you typically use to market your event? We were just chatting before this webcast. You have thousands of people who attend your university virtual job fair. So help us with a bit more of checklist when it comes to online methods to market these events to students.
Sure. We're really fortunate in that we have very cooperative faculty. So because we're an online university, we're the largest public online university in the United States, we're able to put universal announcements in the classroom. So we write up a very simple announcement with links to those tools to help people do their resumes, to check out the employers, and every single student who is attending a class will see that announcement. And that's one of the best ways we connect with them. We also have a headline when they log on to their portal, their student portal, whether they're checking their grades or whether they're looking looking to register next semester, and they see that announcement there. We have 2 newsletters that go out. One newsletter goes out from Career Services. Another newsletter goes out from the Student Affairs Office, both pushing our career services, particularly recruiting events. We have a blog that we have links to that people go to and check out to get more details. And then we have our targeted email. We use our platform to identify, again, those who are actively or passively seeking, and we send them an email based on their cohort, whether they're in arts and sciences, cyber IT, the different businesses, accounting and finance, HR. And we say, here's our wonderful career fair. We have over 60 employers, 64,000 jobs represented. Here are the employers hiring for HR, so that it's not just scattershot and people aren't visiting every single booth when they come saying, what do you have for me? Because that's the worst thing they can do. But that they can go in targeted. I know he's laughing. Yeah, I guess all students are like that, no matter what age. So we try to explain what an elevator pitch is, how to introduce yourself. And again, saying that if you can't be at the fair, you can go early, because we'll open up the vFairs platform a week early and go in and leave a message for different employers if you're not able to be there. And we have students who take advantage of that as well. And then on the other side, we also do the same for the employers. We say, okay, you're going to see cyber students because they always pop in at the last minute and say, what do you have for me? Sorry about that. But here are the students that you can expect to see. You can go in early, you can look at their resumes, you can decide who you'd like to chat with either at the event or prior to the event. We have employers who do their research prior to the event and actually hire people before our event has even happened. So that's actually a best case scenario. We love it when that happens.
That's amazing, Francine. Francine, I'm just going to quickly again summarize that checklist. I'm just going on. I just want to make sure that we exhausted. So we discussed LinkedIn, we discussed social media, we discussed Facebook. I think that university making use of faculty to announce that in a classroom is just a brilliant idea. You mentioned about the portal that students use. Is that the intra portal that you were referring to, Francine? So
right,
yeah, every university should have that one. Yeah.
Right.
You have the newsletters, you have the blogs, then you have those targeted emails. I just want to check, and again, this is just for my own knowledge. Do universities also have WhatsApp group that you guys use nowadays? Like WhatsApp group for a certain, for a certain class or for a certain again department like career services. Does that happen in countries where you guys are have these students from? Suni,
I'm going to defer to Suni.
Yeah, Suni, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. So so what we do internally when it comes to staffing, we use our teams. Obviously, we have our groups on there, and that's how we internally promote it by departments, just to keep it a little bit more professional, because we use Teams as the messaging platform anyway, and we have it on our phones, and it's very mobile. But we actually encourage students to have their WhatsApp groups. So there are different WhatsApp groups for different programs and different classes sometimes, and students create it, or we actually encourage them to, and we see different announcements about it, and we kind of encourage them to engage with each other. So they actually promote what they find cool or interesting through that. And we just encourage them, hey, I know you guys have your WhatsApp group, maybe share this. And sometimes the promotion can be even more effective when it's coming from a peer. Because when it's us saying it, it's like we seem like we have this agenda so they can just work so hard. But when it's another student promoting it to another student, that's a different type of relationship and promotion. So yes, we encourage it like informally, only to maintain a certain level of privacy as well. So they can't be WhatsApping me and they already call me too much. So but yes, we have that promotion, peer-to-peer promotion with that.
Perfect. And just a question for both of you, and I think then we can move on from online to offline. Does SMS blast work? Like, do universities typically send SMS messages to students? I just have no idea how that part work in US and in Canada, because I know every country has a bit of a different rules here. Yeah.
I can speak to that. And I noticed that Claudia posted a message that she doesn't think WhatsApp's caught on with U.S. universities. And I think I agree with that. But the way we use SMS messages is to remind people about the event. And that helps us because we used to call each and every person who was registered. Now, imagine calling 1,300 people when you have 3 career advisors. That's quite the burden. But once we got SMS availability, that made it so much easier. And now we just call the people who we don't have mobile phone numbers for, and that cut that number down tremendously. It's very helpful.
Sure. Suni, Does that also work here in Canada? I know that sometimes rules here are a bit different for email marketing and SMS. Yeah.
Honestly, our SMS, we don't necessarily find that it works too much, only because, again, a lot of the portals are available on their phones anyway. A lot of like our phones, the way they can email us, call us, it's all very mobile. So the SMS plus the WhatsApp that they do, plus the SMS, a lot of students are so, for lack of a better term, they're like, over SMSs, like text messaging and SMSs is so last generation for them. So we try to make no, and it's crazy because we have to keep up with what they use, their platforms. If not, it ends up taking away resources where all the time we could have spent, using the SMS, we could have used a different platform. So honestly, sometimes Instagram can work way better than SMSing. And those mass emails work better. And in-person interactions, something that works very well for us is actually going into some of their classes while they're in classes and just doing a quick but not like the traditional SMS. No, we don't find it super valuable.
Sure, sounds good.
Suni, you're making me feel 100 years old.
Same here.
But our students are a little bit older, so that might be why it works for our students. Our average age is 31, and the average age at graduation is 36. So we old farts over 30. We're still using it.
And Francine, I can totally imagine me having this conversation in a couple of years from now, and people will be saying, "Oh, by the way, the best thing that works for us is TikTok." I'm going to be doing this, and so I think we'll leave TikTok conversation for our next webcast. Let's switch gears to a bit on offline marketing, right? So for offline marketing, again, I know that it might not be such an exhaustive list, but again, when I used to be during my university days, and again, I was, none of those online methods used to be there. So it used to be bulletin boards where we used to go and see what are the things that are happening at a university level. What are the offline methods that are being used now, if at all, to announce these university virtual job fairs and let the students know that they can make use of them?
We're completely online. So what used to help was when we would do our in-person career fairs, and then the word would get out. But because we're completely online, that's really where we live. And we found that the online events are much more accessible, even for the people who are local, because our adult learners, they're working full-time, they're going to school sometimes full-time through UMGC, they have families, they need to eat, they need to get their tires rotated. And others had to deal with the rush hour traffic. So it's just easier and more accessible to have a career fair online or recruiting events online. And we can have more employers. When we were in person, we'd have small events with, say, 5 employers at the most. We can go up to 10 or 15 at our smaller events. Our employers are by invitation only. So we don't have over 100 employers kind of thing. We keep it limited because we just really want employers that are good for our students. But we live online, so I'm sure Suni has more ideas about the offline experience.
You guys have a huge campus, Suni, so I'm sure
So I mean, I resonate a lot with what Francine said in that we've seen through the pandemic that the online tool has really, really been very vital in keeping the students engaged and keeping the school going, and also being able to access students worldwide as well as employers worldwide. But yes, there is this disparity where COVID has given us the ability to do things online, but it has also created a craving for engagement in person as well, where students are like, I want to come see you at the office. I'm like, we are still closed. I'm just here. But they're looking for that in-person interaction. So what we try to do is we will host different events. So something we did for the job fair we just had with vFairs, actually, we would invite employers. Some of the employers that are registered, let's say we have 30 employees registered, 10 out of those 30, we might invite like one every week or one every other week to come in and just do an orientation about their organization, some of the jobs available, as well as contacts. And we tell the students, hey, this employer will be coming, this is your program of study, this is a great network to have. And that in itself is an incentive. And if we had like a lot of students come in. So incentivizing it in a way where you get to be front facing with somebody that could impact your career path, getting them in person. So again, the employers get a face-to-face interaction, the students do. So that's something that has been a little bit different, but it also works really well, along with those in-class visits, and along with just meet and greet events. Sometimes we would have, hey, you know what, right before a workshop, we have, just snacks for you guys, come in, and then we'll just tell you about the career fair that's coming up and what to expect. And we do role plays with them. Sometimes I would be the employer and they would have to pitch their elevator pitch. And the body memory involved with that as well helps them with not just what to say online, but how their body works with that interaction and what difference that makes in just being human. So I think there is that online component that has been so helpful, but there is also a craving for that in-person element that goes beyond just the screen, but just you're using your body in that communication process. So yeah, those are some of the tools that we use for offline.
Sounds good. So we've talked about a lot about the students. How do we kind of market the event to them and how do we attract them? What about employers? What are some of the questions that employers ask when you reach out to them and try to market a university virtual job fair to them? And how do you, again, what are the online and offline marketing methods that you use, Francine, in your case, to bring in these hundreds of employers sometimes to participate in your events?
So we start by looking at employers who have something good to offer our students. Again, since they're adults, since many are moving up in their careers and they're not 22-year-olds starting a brand new career, we look to employers who value diversity, value military service. 60% of our students are connected to the military, but only 30% of our job seekers, because the other 30% are in the military, they have jobs. And also those who have a variety of offerings. So not just IT or not just business administration, not just finance. We look for entities like technology companies, healthcare organizations that have a lot of different kinds of openings. So we outreach to them. We have an employer services team who does that. And then as time progresses, as we've had them involved in our events, we see which ones are communicative, which ones actually hire students. We don't like resume hoarders. Which ones are the ones who are really genuinely engaged with our students and alumni and are doing the hiring. And then those are the ones we invite back. And it's a lot of old-fashioned one-on-one conversations because we don't just take first come, first served. We're not looking to get the highest number of employers. We're looking at quality over quantity. So that really involves a lot of relationship building and then making sure that they have a positive experience. So when we had our in-person event and we had our ScanShake app, we constantly heard that this was the gold standard of career fairs. They were thrilled and delighted. We want to make sure to offer them value. And with the vFairs platform, they're able to make their notes. They're able to identify people who are a good fit for their positions. We're able to see the notes that they've taken, where the students and alumni are standing, so that we can follow up and either encourage them with best practices for interviews, or if it didn't work well for them, to talk about what their job seeking strategy is. And we identify those with the most need and send them to the career advising specialists.
So Francine, it looks like in your case, it's mainly purely one-to-one relationship that you are maintaining with a lot of these employers. That's how it looks like that you're mainly attracting a lot of those employers. Suni, what about in your case? Are you using any, again, online methods, whether it's LinkedIn or a couple of others, to first find out this bigger pool of employer database that exists, and then from there, again, picking up the ones that's most suitable for your students?
So we typically use two methods. So we have a partner pool because a lot of our programs involve co-op anyway, and we like to also assist in placing our alumni students. So we have, again, partnerships that we work with that are very active. So that's one way, and sometimes we get our partners involved if they are a little bogged up. A few of them might get involved, but at least we know, okay, we have our partner pool. Then that's like going with the relationships we've already built. but then we're also looking to build new relationships, newer companies, models or newer perspectives. So that way we're matching it with, yes, we've had partners for years, but we also want like fresh ideas, fresh companies. So that's how we, like even what Francine was saying, sometimes it is one-on-one, sometimes it is getting on the phone and calling and meeting, and really knowing that who we are bringing in is in the best interest for our students, whether it's through LinkedIn. We will look through, who are the hiring managers, who are the recruiters, how is this relevant to the program of study? Are they, reputable companies? Are they real companies? Not just a startup YouTube channel. So just vetting new companies, and the job fair gives them, a way for us to also gauge whether they could eventually become partners. Because sometimes that relationship is built so well that they become partners and they join us in not just job fairs, but just co-op placements. They don't have to go looking far and wide. They know we're very hands-on. So constantly this new pool of, recruiting employers, and also the pool that we already started with. And again, incentivizing it for them where, listen, our students bring in an international breadth of knowledge. Most of our students are actually from varying industries around the world. We have engineers moving into business. We have, IT specialists getting, cybersecurity. Like, we have such a diverse pool of educated students that speak multiple languages and that are coming in to try something new, to transfer into a new industry as well. So we kind of let them know, hey, they are coming in with up-to-date industry knowledge based on our programs, but they're also bringing expertise from varying. So this is a very nutritious pool to draw from, and that in itself is very enticing for employers, and we make it very easy. Honestly, even some of the booth setups, we understand that employers are busy, and so during the job fair time, we're all hands on deck. We are on the phone. Okay, listen, you're not able to do this, we'll walk you through that. How do we, just to ensure that their onset is smooth and our students are able to, kind of connect with them, but we want to make sure the communication doors are open. So there's so many different methods, but we make sure to present them the value that they will be getting from that, because they also get to advertise to not just potential employees, but potential customers.
Yep.
Because our students are, from both sides.
Francine, so again, a lot of these employers and the recruiters, I think nowadays a lot of them definitely would have attended a lot of university virtual job fairs. But typically, again, a lot of, recruiters change within the company, and many times it might be their first virtual job fair. How do you prepare them to be at their best and get the best out of a university virtual job fair? How to interact with students, how to find out the right student, and then how to make that application move on from just chatting to potentially an offer for that particular student that they have found at that particular university virtual job fair.
Well, we found that the best way is to actually give them a training to do some prep, because even though the vFairs platform is very intuitive and you could go in and figure it out, we don't want that deer in the headlights feeling. We want people to anticipate what's going to happen before they get there, how to use the platform, and how to get the most ROI. So we partner with vFairs to do a little 30-minute training. We record it for those who aren't able to come. We walk through the mechanics of the platform, and we walk through best practices for the employers. We actually do the same thing for the job-seeking students and alumni as well. So we give them, we have prep sessions that are online for how to walk through the platform, how to best present yourself. We also send them emails, because our students actually read email, I guess because they're older, about best practices. And then even during the event, because we know people are swamped, again, with their kids and rotating their tires and their jobs, we'd rather they show up at the event unprepared than not come at all. So once they're at the event, we have little videos, we have PDFs, whatever their style is, we have the information on how to best prepare. But with the recruiters, with the employers, we really walk through, we encourage them to get onto the platform early and look at those candidates' resumes, because they have access to all the resumes, and to make appointments with the students who are job seeking and the alumni, because they could get their positions filled even before the event actually begins. And we talk about what's the best way to follow up. We really encourage them to make notes, because the employers have the opportunity to take notes and to check off little boxes on where the candidate stands. That way they could keep track of it. I remember one year someone didn't do that, and then they were calling us saying, hey, do you know which student had these qualifications? Do you remember? And again, with 1,100 students, no, I'm sorry, we don't. So we really want the employers to get the most out of the event, and the more prepared they are, the better ROI they'll have. So that, and it's the same for all participants. And we also train our own staff and our own volunteers. Again, we just don't want deer in the headlights. It's very easy, but if you walk through it with them, then everybody's just a little bit more prepared and feeling more confident.
That's available. Suni, does the same training just upfront both employers and students works, in your case as well?
Yes, same training, but like different aspects of the training. With employers, again, we are it's not as scheduled with employers because their schedule is so all over the place based on their industry. So a lot of it is one-to-one. A lot of it is, hey, this is how you sign up. This is where you can get it. And for the most part, we've had employers more well acquainted than students. Even well, with the students, we have more, hey, come to this workshop. This is what we're going to cover. And then I think this time, the first time we did the virtual job fair with vFairs, we improved on a lot of things based on just feedback and what we observed. That's why we included getting employers involved prior to the actual event. So with info sessions, coming online, walking them through, getting them in contact with the students. So they also sometimes see the value, right? Like that is a motivation for them to want to look through our training. Because a lot of times they'll come the day of, or oh, I'm so busy. But hey, you've actually connected with our students. You have a few contacts already. And honestly, sometimes there is hand holding. Sometimes there is. We have to do that because they will probably show up later, and we can't pound them when it comes to that because we understand their schedule. So I mean, honestly, sometimes the night before, or we send them a checklist of, hey, remember this is what happens. If you ever have any issues, come on, and we make sure that at least 2 people are there for tech support at all times, signed in from our department. One for students, one for employers, maybe 2 for students, 2 for employers, depending on what the registration numbers are. Because even with the preparation, things still happen. I know we had the video portion for our February job fair, and a lot of people were like, how do I get on? How do I, even though there was training and so we had to sort of be there to say, this is what you do and all of that. So yes, there's ongoing training prior to, but it's something that we still have to make sure that we are supporting during the process.
You're making me laugh because whenever we run the microwave in our house, our internet goes off. So I can just imagine, and I'm very serious, so I can just imagine employers who feel very confident and comfortable, but if they haven't logged on early, if they haven't tried out the platform, something can pop up. Somebody can be logging on with Internet Explorer 1.0 from 1987, something like that. So you want your employers to make sure that they've got, that their tech is going to work. And we always appreciate vFairs being able to solve any problems almost the minute they happen. So, to be able to have that separate independent tech support is just really great.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Francine. Suni, just one last, I think, question. See, once the event is finished, what are some of the, what are some of the next steps that you typically do with students and and with employers? Because in the end, you want to make sure that you get the ROI from whether it's from vFairs or any technology that you guys are using to run your virtual job fairs. But just in general, like at the end of the event, how do you measure success? Like how do you get feedback, and what are your expectations from a technology provider to keep on helping you run these successful virtual job fairs? Francine, I will let you start. Yeah.
We have, again, our employer services department follows up with each and every employer. We do a survey at the event, but everybody's a little bit surveyed out sometimes. So he calls each and every person, he tracks them down to find out how things went. We also do it immediately after the event. So we have one representative from UMGC in every employer's booth, and we send them a message during the event, how's it going? Have you found any interesting candidates? Then we use those notes that they've taken to see if they're moving anybody forward or if they're not. And then I also go through the text chat transcripts, searching on keywords to identify people who may be moving forward. So while our person, Darren Cox, is following up with the employers, I then follow up with the individual students who do look like they're moving forward. I send them an email saying, hey, congratulations. I can't promise you anything, but it looks like you did something right. That's great. Here are the resources for interviews. If you want to talk to a career advising specialist, please do. Please let us know what happens. And for those who didn't get moved forward, Hey, how was the job fair for you? Did it go well? Have you heard from anybody? This comes out a couple weeks later. If you haven't heard from anybody, you might want to re-examine your job search strategy. And then we send them access to links on job searching as a whole. And we also have our individual career advisors reach out to them and invite them to an appointment. Because if they didn't move forward with 64,000 jobs, something wasn't clicking, something wasn't right. Either they weren't introducing themselves properly or they weren't applying for the right kinds of positions. And those are the ones who really need our help. So again, it's a great way to use a job fair, not just to connect people to jobs, but to identify the people who need our help the most.
I think that's very helpful. Suni, what about you? Anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I feel like totally resonate with what Francine was saying. And again, the review afterwards works in many different sectors. So there is, of course, with the surveys and the check-ins with the employers. We like to send out the surveys because we can track that. Sometimes with conversations, it's hard to track for KPIs, but with actual surveys, we can track that. We also do administer them. So with the employers, we might send an email or call and say, hey, we have the survey. We want to be able to serve you better for the next, partnership and things like that. So please take your time because your feedback matters. And with students, we do the same, but we also try to incentivize by creating a workshop the next day that says, hey, come in and let us know. Let's talk about it. And while they are talking, it's like, okay, you shared this with me, but I need to see it in writing so I have like filing and data on how we can improve that, so we can track that. So there's that, but there's the other side of surveying where we survey the employers as well as the students, so, okay, we do our part, but did you show up? Like, what was that? Were you just there, not really engaging with students, or were you online, but you're not really online? What happened in that, aspect, and how do we make it better? How do we serve so this doesn't happen again? And like what Francine was saying with the students, like, we do co-op preparation and job fair preparation workshops that are rigorous for training on how to, be successful at a job fair. So if you don't, they don't actually apply some of those things, but then we get feedback saying, I didn't get a position. We have to manage that where, okay, did you not get a position because you simply did not access the opportunity or you didn't really utilize the training that we provided? And if so, how can we, bridge that gap? So again, the survey works both ways where we can identify. And again, with the screenshots, that's why I love the online platform where we can track it through screenshots. You didn't actually really do anything. You just went straight into an employer saying, can you give me a job? That's not what that's not how we trained you. Really? And we can track that where those same, because some of the surveys might be based on the lack of engagement from the students. So that doesn't really match with the KPI. So we have to watch that as well on how the data is being processed and what feedback really is true to the KPI. So again, it has to be from every angle so we can get a really big perspective on what to do best next.
I think thank you very much, Suni. That's very detailed, and lots of appreciation for both you and Francine about a lot of feedback that you have been sharing. Everyone, I know that a lot of your questions have already been answered. If you have any questions for Francine and Suni, please go ahead and mention that in the Q&A or the chat section. I know that I'm already over time by 7 minutes. What I want to do quickly is that I want to just again pick up the two winners for our giveaways today. So I'm just going to pick two random attendees and just announce the $50 Amazon gift card. And the first winner of the gift card giveaway is Jay Giles. So congratulations, Jay. You'll be receiving that gift card. And our second winner is Emma L. So thank you, Emma, and thank you, Jay, for both of you for joining this particular webinar. And again, someone from our side will be in touch with you via email with more details how you can redeem your Amazon gift card. If you have any questions for Francine and Suni, please go ahead and post them on the chat. Again, congratulations to both of our winners. We'll be in touch via email on how you can redeem your card. From my side, again, I really appreciate Francine and Suni, you joining us today, and again, sharing all the best practices on how to run university virtual job fairs. all of our attendees who have joined it. Again, if you want to learn more about how you can conduct your successful virtual job fairs like we discussed today, please email us at sales@vfairs.com so that we can have someone from vFairs be in touch with you. If you have any questions for Francine or Suni, again, email us and we can always connect you with either one of them and have you just get direct help from either one of them about how you can run any of your job fairs successfully. Francine, Suni, honestly, I have still a lot of questions. I have learned a lot from both of you today, and I'm sure, so have all of the other attendees. Thank you so much for joining today, and sharing all of your tips and tricks for all the other university colleagues that are out there.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us, Suni. I learned a lot from you.
Thank you, Francine. Thank you, Suni. Take care. We'll be in touch. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, you take care. Have an amazing day wherever you are. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.